Hello. Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm Yanshu, and I've been working in this space for over 4 years now. And I was working with a staking service provider and a validator. So I've seen how the bootstrapping problem has stayed in the industry and how it's very problematic for new developers to launch their new applications and bootstrap security in the entire economic model. So today I'm talking about restaking and so also from a lens of economic perspective, because crypto today faces a very existential problem, which is the lack of real yields and sustainable economic models. And it's mostly driven by a top to bottom approach where VCs have been funding the protocols and the blockchains, and we're not seeing any real yield, or like it's mostly token speculations or based on like airdrop farming hypes and all that. Yeah. My bad. Yeah, yeah. As I mentioned, crypto faces a structural crisis today, and I'll be setting the stage for a deeper economic analysis beyond the technical analysis of restaking. So basically, it's all about making a asset more productive, and we've seen that. A biggest example is gold. So if you go and do some historical analysis, a Roman centurion used to earn about 38 ounces of gold per year, which is, if you translate to today's term, it's approximately like 80 to 100K, which is equivalent to a U.S. Army captain's value. So gold has done a tremendous job in preserving the value, but if we, it's not a very it's not very efficient as a capital, because if we had existed like equities back then and just a mere 1% above inflation rate, it would have been trillions today, but that's not the case. And in crypto we have a similar case with Bitcoin being the most where the most capital is allocated, but it has been non-productive till yet, before the rise of most Bitcoin L2s or Babylon, but still we are not seeing very sustainable yields yet. And when coming to Ethereum has played a big role in creating the DeFi infrastructure that we know today. And yeah, so Ethereum has created the biggest infrastructure today, and we have after EIP 559, we saw Ethereum going towards ultrasound money, and like we saw like Ethereum community noting that, like, it's deflationary asset, but that's far from the reality right now. Uh, s- yeah. So when Ethereum transitioned to proof of stake, it became a really efficient, a capital efficient asset, because you can stake, and staking yields essentially comes from like two ways: consensus layer or execution layer. And consensus layer is basically providing security, and you get rewards through inflation, and execution layer you get rewards from priority fees and MEV. Uh, and POS and DeFi has solidified ETH as crypto's very efficient product. But the problem arose during 2020, before the DeFi summer, when we saw like boom of these the different applications, and the lending borrowing application like Aave, MakerDAO, they really took a turn. And the problem was that users had to choose: either they can deposit their ETH in Beacon chain, but it will be unlocked and it will be very inefficient. They just merely earn the consensus rewards. But that's where Lido came in, or like liquid staking came in, where you can essentially, it reduces the entry point barrier. You don't have to essentially bootstrap your own nodes with 30 ETH. You can start with half a ETH or one ETH, and you can also get a liquidity. You can use that in DeFi, and it made ETH really productive as an asset. But but the problem was that because of this, it created a lot of centralization pressure on the Ethereum as a main chain, as it moved away from POW to POS. We saw some significant efficiency improvements in energy, but when it comes to like the base chain security, we have seen like it's been like neglected, and it's not the same case. And like mostly staking rewards have been like they're like a inflation tax to people who are not staking, just ETH holders. And like a lot of researchers are doing some new analysis on new models and new ways to find some better solutions. One of them is MVI. You can like learn more about it, but we're not seeing something real substantial yet. And now we come into restaking. So restaking is essentially like extending or like extending the security of the base chain to new protocols or which helps developers bootstrap their applications. So it is, but it's not a very new concept. It's been there since Bitcoin merge mining introduced in 2010. Then we saw the same thing with parachain, Polkadot parachains, then Cosmos IBC. But what made it really different for EigenLayer was they tapped into the most capital, the most staked capital that we have on Ethereum, which is about more than $100 billion stake. So that's when the inflection point came, and it brought in like a lot of new emerging applications, especially in the DA layers and many other applications. And we've seen like some real life examples and which have taken turn, like opacity, for example. So you can essentially, if you're like a worker, you can give a proof of your wages, and you can like be eligible for loans without revealing your identity or giving out your personal information or bank account records, all those things. And it was enabled because of EigenLayer, the programmable security it provided. And it has since then we have seen a lot of because of this we have seen a lot of demand side culminating to like $20 billion plus staked assets, restaked assets into EigenLayer and different protocols. But that has introduced new risks. The restaking introduced new risks, and one of the biggest risks is for DeFi is the LRTs. If an LRT depegs, it can have a liquidation cascade across the DeFi applications. We saw the same thing, something similar with LSTs during 2022 with Anchor, and we could see the same problems with Ethereum and with LRTs on Ethereum. Now coming to the main thing, we have seen like restaking has done good job on the when providing the bootstrapping security, but when coming to the economic side, the things don't look very well. Even after like $20 billion of stake assets, the supply side has done quite well, but the demand side is not catching up to it. And even like from a personal experience, after staking 1 or 1.5 ETH over a year, you'll get barely like 0.77% APR, which is about 5 times less than the staking APR on a base chain itself. So, but why are we doing this? It's mostly just because of airdrop hype and farming on that area. So, we need to do like more research on how to provide more economic and sustainable fee generation for AVSs. But that said, like since we're expanding, since the restaking is expanding to different chains, Babylon bringing in the capital from Bitcoin, we have Shoal from Solana, we have different protocols, some universal staking protocols like Karak and even Symbiotic. But again, like they're facing the same problem. They are doing well for the bootstrapping security part, but not for the capital efficiency part of the economic side of things. There are some protocols that are bringing in and doing the work there. For example, like more markets or catalysis or yieldness, where they're providing some structured DeFi products or building a liquidity layer, unified liquidity layer, where you can use the untapped capital of restaking into DeFi. But again, it requires a lot of risk assessment that a normal user can't do. But so my conclusion is that we need better frameworks, better SDKs, and better economic models for this to be sustainable. But the question is, should the restaking protocols like EigenLayer implement this, or should this be entirely on the AVSs? And that's where we need to do more research and focus on more on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions before I do have a question to ask about this? Yeah, so do you think the proof of stake mechanism has sort of overlaid? Do you think we should go back to proof of work for Ethereum? Is there a case for it?
I mean, basically we moved from POW to POS so that everyone can participate in staking, and we have a sort of like what we say crypto economic security. But the reality is, it has seen some significant upsides when it comes to energy efficiency, all those things. But as I mentioned, like when coming to like centralization pressure, it has increased that. Like for example, Lido, they have like it has more than 30% staked assets. And talking about the energy efficiency, even Bitcoin as of 2025 has like more than 50% is coming from renewable resources. And as Bitcoin mining is becoming more profitable, that is essentially like people are investing more into renewable resources, which is not just beneficial for crypto as an industry, but also other industries. And the same thing could have seen with Ethereum as well. So I'll just leave you with that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions?